Here. Mr. Rivera.
Here.
Present.
Are there any changes or comments regarding public business meeting that's January 27th, 2014? Hearing none. Unfortunately, our student rep is unable to be with us tonight. We're going to move straight on to items presented by administration.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to go over some of the details of our technology and where we're up to at this point in time. As of today, we have rewired all the schools with the category 5B wire. We have 330 computers that have been ghosted and are ready for distribution. We had 1,000 tickets of things that were wrong. We are down to less than 100. We had an old ticketing system. We have now brought in a new ticketing system for any errors that you might find, and it's very easy to use. We have identified all of the Windows 2000 and the Windows XP computers that are at the end of their life, and there are no patches for them. We have cleaned and created new space so that we have the ability to move forward. We have addressed the computer issues in the middle school. We have repaired all of the printers, 56 printers in schools 3, 7, and 10. We have increased the switches, which will allow us to put in additional computers and allow us to have the Wi-Fi that's necessary. We've created direct phone lines to the schools and direct fax lines so that we don't have to go through an entire series of questions and answers in order to get to the school. With our capacity, it will allow this district to continue to grow. We've upgraded the infrastructure and we have completed that in all of our buildings. We are now moving on to phase 2. In phase 2, beginning next year, we are going to replace or upgrade all servers, computers, and peripheral devices so that every single classroom will be on the cutting edge. There will be no old, we're getting rid of all of the old computers and materials so that our children have whatever it is necessary to be students in the 21st century. Thank you.
Item remarks and written reports will be presented by board members. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I'd like to give just a brief update. Last week, we gave our medication and everything. We received the order report and worked diligently. Last board meeting, I gave a brief update indicating that we received the annual audit and administration was working to remediate those exceptions. I've been reaching out to follow up with administration to our current status on there. I'll continue to do it. And I'm also continuing to reach out to get the adequate contracts and supports for some of the bids that were awarded to us to get further clarity on how it's disclosed in our financial statements. And I know Mr. Vez is not in, and I'm not sure if Colleen could give, Mrs. Falcon could give a current update on that. And that's all I want right now.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Frieda?
No report tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Frieda. Mr. Longo? Nothing. Thank you, Mr. Longo. Mr. Zangari?
Nothing tonight, Mr. President, other than I just want to thank Dr. Feldman for the report, and also want to thank Bill Frieda, the chairman of technology, for spending so much time over the past couple of weeks in meetings. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Zangari. Mr. Charles? Mrs. Lombardi?
I just want to congratulate our 3 district champ wrestlers and Coach Nardone for being selected District Coach of the Year. I also want to say that I was in touch with the NJEA regarding that survey that we heard about last meeting, to verify exactly what took place. Over 60% of BEA members took that survey, and almost 100% felt intimidated by the Board of Education. That is unacceptable to me as a board member. It should be unacceptable to everyone sitting here. And if there's any teacher out there, I'm telling you right now, that feels harassed, intimidated, bullied, or anything by any one of us, I would like to know that. I can't believe that that happens in our district, but if it is, please get in touch with me if there's a problem. We need to resolve that, and we need to get past this. Thank you.
I have no report tonight. We'll move on to remarks by citizens. May I have a motion open for public participation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Michael Mignon, please come to the podium. State your name, address, and group affiliation where appropriate.
Okay, Michael Mignon, 23 Westfield Avenue, Caldwell. Good evening, and thank you very much, Mr. Martin, for that comment, and it's greatly appreciated. It really warms our heart to feel that you understand where we're coming from. That's wonderful to hear. My name is Michael Mignon, and I'm the president of the Belleville Education Association. I'm here tonight again to speak on behalf of over 400 members of the BEA. As you all know, the BEA has expressed ongoing concerns about the district's decision to fund an expensive surveillance system instead of providing the basic supplies necessary for our students' success. Instead of investing in the tools and technology that would benefit our students' education, you choose to spend an exorbitant amount on needless bells and whistles attached to the system. And instead of honoring our rights to bargain the terms and conditions under which we work within the system, you choose to spend additional district money answering unfair labor practice charges. I'd like to be perfectly clear. This is not about school safety. Trust me, no one cares more about the safety and well-being of Belleville children than us. That's why we are deeply disappointed that the Board of Education has repeatedly ignored our request to understand and discuss the process under which you came to award Clarity Technologies this huge, expensive expense. Ignored, that is, until the NJEA Vice President came last month and urged you to take concerns seriously. But as I told you last month, we no longer are willing to be satisfied with silence. And as I tell you and told you time and time again, when there is an injustice in the district, the BEA will continue to passionately advocate on behalf of ourselves, the students, and the community. That is why we are looking into the legality of this board hiring Clarity Technologies when there are obvious conflicts of interest surrounding that decision. We are uncomfortable with the fact that certain board members' families directly benefit as a result of this contract. But we are not the only ones who are uncomfortable with this arrangement and take issue with your decision. Look around. Community residents, parents, staff, and members from unions all around the state want to see things around here change. We are uniting our cause to secure a bright future for Belleville students. That means engaging in open and honest dialogue. It means making sound, transparent decisions when you are working with taxpayers' money. It means ensuring we have adequate classroom supplies and technology to meet federal and state standards. And it also means that each and every one of you will uphold your sworn promise to fulfill your board duties in a thoughtful, meaningful, and ethical manner. Before I close, I would like to take a minute to clarify some of the rumors surrounding the employee climate survey that was taken last month. There seems to be some thought that our numbers have been inflated or exaggerated. I can assure this board and the community that that is not the case. 260 out of 430 members, or 60% of the membership, completed the survey. Of those surveyed, nearly 100% indicated they felt intimidated by what they perceived to be retaliatory action for their involvement in union activities. When asked whom they felt was the source of intimidation, 66% of them named you, the Board of Education. I am shocked and dismayed that this board is questioning the validity of the survey rather than taking a close look at why the Belleville staff is feeling this way. I urge you to stop trying to minimize and devalue my members' feeling and instead ask yourselves what can be done to correct the problem. Because even one person feeling intimidated and retaliated against is just not okay for a district whose website proudly states that the Belleville School District is a place of integrity, collaboration, and respect. Thank you.
She waits her spot. Okay, Tom Gorman. Please come to the podium, state your name, address, and group affiliation if appropriate.
Tom Crowan, 61 Continental Avenue. At the beginning of the meeting, Mrs. Sullivan stated that a lot of corrections were made to the computers and the printers and etc. Was that done through our system or through Clarity? It was also mentioned about the audit in past years when the audit was received. I think the superintendent usually addressed the audit or the business administrator addressed the audit, explained what deficiencies there were and what was recommended to correct those deficiencies. I assume that's not going to happen. Before you vote tonight on Resolution B2, which is the one for outsourcing, I hope you explain to us the rationale behind this resolution. Don't we currently have an information technologies department? We have a technologies director. I assume he has a staff of technicians. Are they being eliminated? Don't they have a contract that will be in effect until June? $2,000 a month sounds like a great deal of money for outsourcing the department. Why issue a 5-year contract when we don't know how well outsourcing will work? This is just another decision that leaves the public scratching their heads. Why is this happening? Why now? You may have very sound reasons for your resolutions, but you don't explain or discuss them. Explain and let us know what's going on. This leads to speculation, which leads to rumors, which just continue to grow. This year was decided to move the 6th grade to the middle school. I don't remember input from the parents or discussion at the meetings. We were simply told it had to be done. I assume this was seen as the best way of fighting overcrowding, but were there any other options? If so, why weren't we informed? The state mandates that all 6th grade teachers be certified in math, science, English, or history. This meant that some of the 6th grade teachers had to be moved to a lower grade. Was this explained to the parents? If they had been informed, perhaps there would have been fewer confused parents. We expect to see changes made over the summer as numbers of each class change, teachers retire, etc., etc. This year, there seem to have been staff changes made at almost every meeting. Why are changes being made in the middle of the year? When a parent questioned this last month, an explanation was given, but she had to come to a board meeting to ask the question to find out why a teacher was moved. There has to be a better way. Last month, we passed a resolution changing the job title from vice principal to assistant principal. Does anyone in this audience understand why the change was made? How is it necessary? Why now? What effect does this have on the schools and the taxpayers? Are these assistant principals paid the same rate as a vice principal? Are all vice principals now assistant principals? Does this mean there will be fewer or more assistants? Are they 10 or 12-month employees? Some of these questions could have been answered with some sort of an explanation when the resolution was passed last month. Instead, we left again scratching our heads. Why? Each year, our long-term plans and goals set by the Board of Education. It doesn't seem as if they are. It seems like someone suggests an idea and you all jump behind it without really looking at the effects the plan will have. If it doesn't work, then you just implement another plan. All we want is to understand what is going on. We have a right to know what's going on. You tie our hands by refusing to answer questions and making it necessary for us to file open requests for any information that may answer the questions we raise. You expect respect because we voted you into office. Show us some respect by giving us enough credit to understand the decisions you make. Things will be a lot easier and less combative if you give us a chance, if you give us input, if you give us explanations, so we know why you passed the resolutions that you do. Thank you.
I'd like to address two of those issues. The first one being the vice principal to assistant principal. The state education department said that the term vice is becoming a little archaic. It doesn't make reference to something that's really appropriate. So what they did is they asked us to change the title from vice principal to assistant principal. Same people, same everything, just a title change, because vice doesn't have the same meaning it did many years ago. The other thing I'd like to address is the fact that we only have one employee who is a coordinator of instructional technology. We do not have any other employees, and that person strictly works with me to do the state reporting and to work on Power School, which is our system that works with the children.
Michael Diaz, please come to the podium. State your name, address, and group affiliation for the podium.
Michael Diaz, 77 Center Street. Good evening. My name is Michael Diaz, and I'm a proud member of the Belleville Education Association. I'm here tonight to address the district's so-called technology improvements. Last month and this evening, Superintendent Feldman and several members of this board took issue with any statements that indicated our district schools were not as technology up-to-date as they'd like the public to believe. Understanding that some of the statements about broken computers and non-existent basic technological supplies may seem a bit unbelievable, especially considering the modern world we all live in today. The Belleville Education Association conducted an on-site assessment of our district classrooms to get to the bottom of the issue. And I assure you, these statements are not only very much true, they are just the tip of the iceberg. Not only are we, Belleville staff and students, trying to make computers that are outdated or broken, the handful of ones that are working cannot even connect to Wi-Fi. A great example is this week, last Friday, our report cards were due, and we couldn't do them because there was no Wi-Fi. Some of the surveys have also said that the demand that are placed on the computers can't even hold the certain programs that are needed. That means we simply do not have the tools necessary to do our jobs, nor do we feel that anyone cares if we ever get them. In fact, in our employee climate survey, our members were asked what their primary educational concern was. Of the 260 members who responded, nearly 3/4 of them, that's 74%, stated the lack of instructional materials. You know which items were tied for second? The installation of the surveillance system, the misplaced spending priorities of the board, and the technological problems problems throughout the district. Why did it take so long and have to have a public display of scrutiny before we had these amended fixes that Mrs. Feldman just mentioned? All of a sudden this weekend they scrambled to get things done. Work orders are all of a sudden filled because the public is aware. Shouldn't our kids come first and our teachers of what we need to get done? As a Belleville teacher, I'm frustrated and it's disheartening. And I believe my students deserve so much better. But as a Belleville resident and a graduate, I find it downright disgraceful and question whether this board even cares about doing what makes our children 21st century ready. The people you see here tonight, the parents and staff and business owners, they care. They've heard our concerns and joined the BEA in our quest to do what's right. And now we urge this board to take note. We will be making sure that all the stakeholders receive a full report of the technological deficiencies and problems. It's time to stop turning a blind eye to this problem and instead to work to ensure that we are united in our efforts for a better Belleville. Thank you.
May I? Yes. Right now, we started with town 21, several weeks ago. We are now committing again. We have over $1 million that's going to be committed to the computers, and as I stated before, I am replacing every computer, smartboard, whatever is archaic, because we also, as a board and as a superintendent, believe that our children should have the best, and that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
William Belleville, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and group affiliation if appropriate.
I'm Bill Millen, Upper Street, Belleville. Just last time I was here, I asked for security information. I said I had to go through Oprah. I obtained it without using them. I just don't know why can't these questions be answered without going through that Oprah. I was not her anyway. The other thing that sergeant from the sheriff's department that was here about number 3. According to my friend in the state police, as a lieutenant, she said she has every right to carry that weapon as long as it's posted. So I don't know why she was giving that much trouble. And in Chicago, everyday math costs $175,000, and I understand it's not being used anymore. What happened with that? There's a few things I want to know, and anybody want to address that?
What was the outside?
$175,000, they don't use it.
It's the everyday method.
Mrs. Cummins is going to be addressing all the academic issues at the next meeting, but we are utilizing that in some of the schools. We are utilizing other things. Right now, there is a committee that meets regularly with Mrs. Cummins and a representative from each and every one of the elementary schools. They are reviewing the mathematics and how it's going to work with the Common Core that we're working on now. There are some things that have to be addressed with that. But Mrs. Cummins will give you a full explanation when she at the next meeting. She was here, but she was before. She would have addressed it now, but I think she left.
I just have one more question. Was the board aware of the president of Clarity Technologies prison record?
No. Mr. Ivino, I apologize. I skipped over you by accident. I saw 2 items together. Michael Ivino, please come to the podium. State your name, address, and group affiliation.
Michael Ivino, 9 Madison Street. My group affiliation, obviously, is the North Teachers Union. I'm on the executive board. With me, I do have 2 members of the executive board. Subsequent to our last meeting, I went and approached our executive board, and our executive board unanimously voted to support a resolution to stand in solidarity with the education workers of Belleville, teachers, and all the other union members and workers in the district. Your fight is our fight. One of the reasons why it's so vital that education workers stand together is that we are in the fight for our lives, not just for our profession or for our salaries, but for the educational outcome of our children, which means the future of our country. I think it's wonderful that this board in this town that I grew up in is moving to the 21st century in terms of technology, but you have to stop treating your education employees, your teachers, like 18th century workers. You cannot expect to get the most out of your staff by bullying them, intimidating them, and allowing yourselves to be bullied and intimidated by others. We all have a job to do, and I said this last time, the front line is and forever will be the classroom. These are the people who dedicated their lives through education, had their families fund them, set aside time for their families to grade papers, to plan, and to prepare the children in their classrooms for the future. They wipe the noses, they hug the children, they have the Band-Aids, they listen to the tears, they teach kids how to drive. In fact, I would imagine that each and every one of you on this board has a teacher somewhere in their lives that they can thank. For me, it was Mr. Hollis in Belleville Junior High School, Mr. Cowlitz, Miss Kirsch. These people inspired me. And there's a teacher that's inspiring a kid each and every day in this town. But they're not inspired. They're beaten down by you. And when we in Newark hear something like this, and we see our brothers and sisters across the border struggling to wake up each day with a smile for these children, we can't tolerate it. I'm working with our union and with your union to create a district-wide, county-wide organization that will unify this fight, because our fight is against the corporate powers that are hoping to destroy public education. You guys need to resist that as well. So once again, on behalf of the Newark Teachers Union, we stand with you. Your fight is our fight. And in Newark, we win our fights, and we're winning our fight. In Newark, you were a progressive. You were the director of special ed. You forced Newark ahead of the curve to bring inclusion to the district, and it's working. You worked with Mitch and Jerry, you worked with Gina Malaro, you worked with all of those people who can tell you exactly who I am. Roger will tell you exactly who I am. And I was proud of what you did there. And I want to be proud of what you do here. You make Newark proud wherever you go. Don't let us down. But this is the era of accountability, and it's time for the workers to start holding you guys accountable, and we'll be there to help them. Thank you very much.
John Stewart, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and group affiliation to the podium.
Joan Schmidt, 61 Hill Street. Ms. Feldman, you answered a lot of my questions already. I just have a few remarks to make. At the last Board of Education meeting, the board approved the title change for the vice principal to assistant. Now, I have a copy here of the job description for the new title. Mr. Zara from Essex County, he faxed it over to me last Friday. Now, what I don't understand, it says board approved 2/24. I got this last Friday. How could it have been approved, written down it was approved when you haven't voted on it yet? I'm confused on that part. Right here. Board approved today, and I got it last Friday, Mr. Farron faxed it over to me. How could that be that it says approved when it hasn't been voted on?
Where did you get them?
Why did we not?
Joe Zara?
Joe Zara, yes. Faxed it to me on Friday. I've been in touch with him for many times and a lot of questions. I've been keeping in touch with him. And he's the one that got it for me, I believe from you. But why does it say board approved today when I got it last Friday?
Well, what I do is I get everything ready for the board meeting so that everything is there for the public. Probably it came off the pile of what was going to be going out. I'm assuming that it was going to be approved. So it was ready to, no, I'm telling you, that's how I
Yeah, no, I'm saying that doesn't step back to assume it.
Right, well, I gave it to Mr. Zarrow, probably my secretary gave me the one with the approved date on it instead of the blank one for him to see.
Yeah, because you can't assume something that's going to be voted on. It makes it sound a little strange that you know how all these people are going to vote.
Yes.
And now I have that job description. And what's the difference between that and the vice principal that we had? What's the change? I don't have that job description.
I will send it to you. There is no difference other than the title, and we used like new jargon as opposed to old.
I know someone from the state suggested it to you.
Yes.
In fact, I got his name at home, and I tried to call him today, but he wasn't in.
Yes.
Because I wanted to check with him. What's the reason that he did the change? He wasn't there.
The only reason, as he stated at several meetings that all the administrators were at, is the word vice is not exactly what the board.
We all grew up on that, vice principal.
I know.
And this seems like they're going to be doing a job of vice principal on the description here, taking care of different things that happen, discipline and all, and this job that the principal does too. Now you're going to get another person to fill in?
No, that's in lieu of the vice principal. It now says assistant principal. Title change only, and what they said is that this title now is more respectable and that it lends itself towards assisting a principal in doing evaluations and things as opposed to vice, which doesn't have an appropriate terminology.
Well, I would just suggest don't put this out again because we have enough things to wonder what's going on with this board. And when I see this board approved today and I got it last week, how would you know that, how they're going to vote? Thank you.
Santos Martinez, please come to the podium. State your name, address, and group affiliation if appropriate.
Santos Martinez, 297 Belmont Avenue. Just want to start with a bit of news. I guess everyone is jumping on that as well. That was very disturbing to me and should be to us all. It was a survey that was conducted where teachers felt they were bullied and intimidated during their tenure at our schools. Right after that report, school number 4 held a dance event at our school and none of our teachers attended. The students and I were not happy. We missed them. I was unhappy because they are an integral part of any success and any achievements we obtain through the education of the children, to the happiness the children experience when they see their teachers at their fun events. I can't speak for all schools, but I can speak for school number 4. Morale appears down and something must be done. Like any successful corporation or franchise, in order to attain success, all the management workers must be goal-driven and in accord. Like any successful corporation or franchise, an open line of communication must be attained to coordinate our efforts to obtain the benefits we wish to achieve to benefit our children. I implore the board and the teachers alike to meet together and discuss the issues and come to a compromise. Some of your intentions may be well placed, but without the wisdom of both parties, there will always remain strife between the two. We must value the wisdom of the teachers, whether they have 1, 2, or 15 years of experience. Because I too was a manager, and I learned that many times the input of the soldiers on the battlefield were very valuable. They are the ones dealing with the day-to-day issues, and who better to know what the children need. An open line of communication and a receptive attitude to creative or innovative ideas will bring success and boost morale among the teachers to create more energy and a feeling of worth. We need to step back and realize when we ask of the teachers, we too must set an example. There are a lot of rumors flying around concerning corruption, and I don't know if they're all any true. But I do feel that those of you on the board that I do know do care. Maybe I'm naive, or maybe just pessimistic. Sometimes in our personal lives, we get so caught up fighting with our spouses that we lose track of who the casualties are. They are always the children. We need to step back and reevaluate what our goals are and see if we can reach a compromise to benefit both sides. These are the educators of our children. Who better to sit down and reach a compromise, but with our teachers who are teaching our children the same life lessons. A simple piece of advice I gave to the board several years ago when we were making decisions regarding our fiscal budget was, if you come to a point or crossroad in your decision and you're stuck, ask yourself, what would I do if my child was in that class? I'm fully aware that many times it's not easy making tough decisions, and you must make business decisions that will not be receptive by all, but if your intent is in the right place, the chances of your decision prospering increases. Every decision should come with input from both sides. You owe that to me, and to all the taxpayers who voted for you, and even those who didn't. In closing, I want to say that I have an outstanding group of teachers in School 4, and the students and I need them back. If you don't believe me, spend time in my school and observe for yourself. In the last few years, I've grown to love and respect all of my teachers of School 4. While I've spent so much time there, and I will miss them sorely when I leave because my daughter's graduating this year. I take great pride in both of my daughter's success in school, and I credit our stable. The key word in this statement is stable. Home life, and most important, the challenges my teachers have presented to my daughters to attain their A+ average throughout the years in school. They have a great rapport with the students. I've observed it so many times when I have done several fundraising functions last year and this year, such as book fairs, holiday sales, and service school. The students behave in the halls and throughout the school. Without yelling or carrying on, they command the students' attention and respect with various methods, but they all work. They share in the excitement of the children when they're involved in anything. It makes me and other parents happy to see. Our children love the teachers, displayed by the show of respect and affection, especially when they remember the teachers' birthdays or special occasions. One time, my daughter made me late to school in the morning so I could buy one of her teachers flowers because she got engaged and she didn't want to go to school without them. The teachers have always challenged my daughters where they always jumped on the opportunity to complete extra credit assignments, not even geared for them, but to help the other students boost their grades. But my daughters did them anyway to achieve their admiration. That speaks volumes to me. Boosting their morale and attaining a feeling of trust and respect will benefit us all. But most important, our children. Make sensible and conscious decisions. I implore both sides to lay down these swords, reach a compromise that will benefit us all, and most important, the children. To both sides, we are all watching, especially the children. Be an example to our children. Thank you.
Please come to the podium, state your name, address, and group affiliation of the program.
Vincent Frank Antoni, 129 Mount Prospect Avenue. First, Mr. Vera, through the chair, I'd like to thank Mr. Longo for an answer to a question I posed at the last meeting. I asked if he had any relatives, and I also asked Mr. Mayo if any other board member. Through a newspaper interview, Mr. Longo admitted his son is working for Clarity Technologies, and claimed the answer there. To the next question, I'd like to know is where and when was this ad published? But beyond that, we you've got to understand what conflicts of interest are. Mr. Longo has admitted it. Now that he has a relative on Clarity's payroll, he can no longer vote or even discuss any matters regarding Clarity. Specifically tonight on Resolution D2, he should take no part. In fact, under the ethics law, and I believe Robert's rules, he should even remove himself from the podium while that issue is discussed. And if Mr. Mayor or any other board members have any relatives on the payroll of Clarity, they should also recuse themselves and refrain from acting or voting on anything to do with Clarity Technologies. I received I have a copy of the 140-page 2013 audit, and some of the findings in that audit are extremely disturbing to the taxpayers. I won't read all of them, I'll be here all night, but just 2 pages. The Office of Fiscal Accountability and Compliance reviewed the funds received and dispersed by the U.S. Department of Education for Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA, Basic, Regular IDEA, and Preschool Handicap. The findings were extremely disturbing. Among them, number 1, the district is not in compliance with the grantor and OMB requirements. 2, the district has not adhered to policies and procedures with respect to grant monitoring, financial reporting of grants awarded and received, and documentation to ensure compliance with the grantor and OMB requirements. The Title I program, it was identified that there were purchases under those funds that were not for Title I purposes. Another item, the district could not provide evidence that multiple measures were applied to provide which students were eligible to receive Title I services. Also, the district does not have supporting documentation to verify the activity of Title I teachers as required by federal law. Also, the district did not provide evidence that a list of planned expenditures were documented in the parent involvement section of the application. Also, the district used Title I funds to pay Standard Solutions LLC for professional development, which supplant state and local funds. That was inadmissible. The district is supplanting these funds to support payments of $12,800 of principal dues to the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association. You've got the reimbursement funds. The auditors found that they were not provided with documentation to support the non-public consultation process. This is serious. Encumbrances for equipment were made at the close of the grant period. It's noted that HP Compact 20-inch monitors were not paid as of November 16th, and the auditors were unable to confirm if they had even been received. We're also unable to confirm if advisory boards were established as required for any of the CTE programs. And finally, this list I just chose to do, purchase orders continue to be issued after goods and services were rendered. This is extremely embarrassing. I don't know, I mean, if I got the order, I'm sure all board members had this. And I don't know what your board members are doing, who is responsible for these inactions or improper actions, and somebody should be reprimanded and held accountable for it. And finally, I'd like to read another statement. The Board of Education has decided knows better than we do how to spend our tax dollars. Programs have been cut, while new positions and promotions continue to be created. It's time to end this cycle and bring common sense and leadership back to our schools. That's not my statement. This is Mr. Longo and Mr. Frito's campaign literature. And they ran for it.
Jeffrey Mallory,
56 Walnut Street. Mr. Frantantoni just covered a lot of what I received when I went through the Oprah request to get the audit for 2012 and 13. Thank you. Very responsive, got it in a timely manner. I was amazed. I was shocked. I was embarrassed. And I have to go through this again because the conclusion to the audit where accounting was very irregular. In fact, I understand you're allowed 3 irregularities, 32 irregularities. That's just simply off the charts. I'm wondering why there aren't greater investigation going on. The purchase orders were created after invoice dates, as you heard. Some of the vendors didn't bother to sign them. In some cases, 1 signature was there when 2 were required. 3 of the 8 vendor business registration certificates that were requested by the auditor were not supplied. Vendors' political donation disclosure forms were requested, but none were supplied. None. The transfer of funds to the general and school administration accounts exceeded 10% without county supervisor approval, which was definitely required. The purchase orders with no account numbers at all in some cases, some of them should have been canceled. On to payroll, its secretary. That was administration. Now secretary, payroll taxes, pension funds, and health care remittances. The late penalty and payment of fines had to be made to the state unemployment insurance because it wasn't filed in time. This is withholding. I mean, simply, this is state money. That's not our money. It's not your money. That's the state money. Pension obligations were late. Health care payments were late. And some people remained on the health care system after leaving the employment of the school board. Vendors and sports officials who were paid in excess of $600 were never sent 1099s at the end of the year. Any small businessman knows that's a requirement. Employee health care contribution records were lacking in accountability. In general, records were seen to be found as misclassified or missing altogether. A lot of problems. The misuse of federal funds and as you just heard from Mr. Frantantoni, is well worth going over. Transfers were made to capital outlay that exceeded 10%, requiring the county superintendent's approval. None was requested. Title I funds were misused and non-allowable expenditures. There was no accounting of Title I student identification. So that means you're basically putting Title I students in and not informing the staff that they have this federally mandated money and programs to provide for children who need that special attention. No accounting of the Title I teachers or parent involvement, those monies that are appropriated for that, there was no accountability. So the teachers weren't informed. The teachers weren't asked. There's no parent involvement, all part of Title I requirement. Title II money were illegally used to pay the $12,800 for New Jersey principals and supervisor students. The coveted Carl D. Perkins grant was charged $22,228 for the 20-inch monitors. Well, the monitors, by the close of the grant period of 6/30/13, had not been paid as of November 15th, 2013. But it had been charged to the Perkins grant and shown as paid. At this point, there's still no confirmation that the monitors were received. Were they received? Who chairs the technology? Through the chair?
Why the chair?
I thought you were the chair.
He was in the chair.
I mean,
I was chairing this meeting.
You're chairing the meeting. I have to ask you to ask Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Freeman, would you like to answer that question?
Mr. President, I object. This is not. I object because board members are not the people who check in and receive and distribute equipment. The board does not handle those things. The board is the board.
I'd like to address Mr. Longo because we sat on the technologies committee today, but at the same time,
Mr.
we were well aware
Rivera,
of what was happening.
Mr. Rivera, that's all I wanted to say about that is that board members don't check in and verify what's happening.
Well, I can tell you that the auditor insisted that the money be returned to the Carl Perkins fund. So $22,228 has to be returned. Now, we're talking about major expenses.
That is the time is up, sir.
I'm up. All right. Well, I can assure you I'll be back.
Thank you. Now, motion to close public participation. Motion to close public participation. So moved. Is there a second? Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Moving on to resolutions.
Matt is requesting recess, 5 minute recess.
There's a motion to recess on the table. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We'll take a 5 minute recess.